What are you going to do after this?
I'm coming up with an album myself. I'm doing an album myself.
I like the tunes on the Victory tour that you, on the Victory album.
Thanks.
Many people don't know that Randy Jackson formed his own band called Randy and the Gypsys. After getting signed to A&M Records by John McClane in 1987, 2 years later in 1989, the album Randy and the Gypsys was released on the label. This was Randy's first and only solo album apart from his family band, the Jacksons. The members of the Gypsys are Randy Jackson, Peppa Tynes, Chris Kello, Cece Worrell, Jara Harris, Jeff Harris, and Cornelius Mims. In an interview with member of the band, Chris Kello, who was keyboardist and a co-producer on the album, he said, "Randy was dope and had real vision. When you come from a large famous family, it's easy to get overlooked, but Randy was the real deal." According to Kello, the Gypsys weren't selected until songs for the album were created. He recalls the majority of the songs were put together by Randy and I in a studio he owned in Beverly Hills called Neighborhood Recordings. He had already started the project when I got there at the end of '87, but he wanted to go in a different direction. He and I gelled, and, in retrospect, he let me do what I wanted to do. When I got to the studio, I was like, where are the Gypsys? Basically, I was the gypsy. Randy worked with many different musicians on the album, but the ones that are most recognizable are the first 3 names on the album credits under additional musicians. Brian Loren was a producer on the album. Brian worked with Janet Jackson after Control when she wasn't sure whether she was going to work with Jam and Lewis again. They did a song together by the name Work. Brian also worked with Michael Jackson on the Simpsons song Do the Bartman and Superfly Sister on Jackson's 1997 Blood on the Dance Floor album. Many of the songs he did with Michael were unreleased. Randy worked with Greg Wright on this album. Greg was a guitarist on the Jacksons' Victory Tour. In an interview with Bryce Najjar, he said, "I'd befriended Randy Jackson in Los Angeles about a year before the Victory Tour. He and Marlon invited me to play a solo on the song Body from the Victory album." Randy also had Paul Jackson Jr., who has played guitar on the Jacksons' albums and Michael's solo albums. Randy had a team full of the most talented musicians in the business working on this project. In addition to singing and playing on the album, he either wrote or co-produced each of the 9 songs on the album. The album was released October 4th, 1989. 2 of the singles released from the album, Perpetrators and Love You Honey, received music videos and even made it on the Hot R&B and hip-hop Billboard Songs chart. Love You Honey charted at number 16. It was a great album altogether with a lot of hidden gems. Randy didn't even want his last name on the album. His label wanted him to capitalize on the Jackson name. He said in his interview with the LA Times, "I compromised. I just used my first name. I can make it without help from the Jackson name. The music is strong enough to grab people on its own." Big brother Jackie Jackson said on Phil Donahue's show that he thought Randy's album was better than Janet's Rhythm Nation album.
Randy just released a new album. He has a great album. Matter of fact, I really love Janet's album, but I think Randy's album is a little better than Janet's to me. Randy has an incredible album on A&M Records. It was just released. It's a great record.
Comment on it, Randy.
Talk about your
Janet and Randy were on the same record label, A&M. Billboard reviewed Randy's album in late 1989 and said it was a shame that it was on the same label as Janet, because they knew his album was going to get buried and not promoted with Janet's Rhythm Nation coming out around the same time. Janet's Rhythm Nation album came out the same year as Randy's album. Her album was released September 19th of that year. Janet was A&M's biggest star, and they were going to put all their attention and resources on her, especially after releasing the follow-up to her successful Control album. When asked in a LA Times interview why his album came out the same time as hers, he said, "That's not the way I wanted it. But, as it turned out, I couldn't change the scheduling of the album." Not only did Janet's album, which was the #1 album at the time, overshadow Randy's album, but also A&M Records was being sold to Universal, so the Randy and the Gypsys album was never promoted during the transition.
At the time, A&M was being sold to Universal, and that whole project was done. But everybody, like, when in those days when a record label was being sold, people didn't want to go in the office anymore. You know, that means that they're going to consolidate and downsize. A lot of people would lose their jobs. So a lot of people just didn't work, and the record didn't get worked. And I'm surprised it even got done. But it was like, at that time, A&M had basically cashed out, and they moved to Universal.
Randy and the Gypsys was a great album, and it proved how talented Randy was. He was the Jacksons' secret weapon after leaving Motown and contributed to their biggest hits as a group. Then, when he finally got a chance to go solo, he was overshadowed by his youngest sister and wasn't properly marketed by the label. Though he works now behind the scenes and manages Janet, he hasn't put out another solo project since. Let's go stream the Randy and the Gypsys album. Let me know in the comments your favorite song from the album. If you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories behind the siblings, more stories behind the songs, and more stories behind the scenes, which is the Jacksons. This page is ran by the Jacksons 70s and 80s Instagram page. Be sure to follow and leave a message. God bless.